It is fitting this Wednesday morning, as we convene a hearing on Greenland, that we have snow on the ground and ice surrounding us. Today, we're here to talk about something that just a few years ago was treated as far-fetched, but has long been worth serious consideration: the potential of the United States acquiring Greenland. Back in 2019, President Trump raised this issue, the idea of purchasing Greenland, and at the time it was dismissed by some as outlandish. But given shifting global dynamics, the geopolitical importance of Greenland makes this conversation one we can no longer ignore. It's a topic of interest to members on both sides of the aisle. Indeed, the idea for this hearing was one the ranking member suggested earlier this year. Greenland has never been some remote island. It holds immense strategic and economic importance. Its location and proximity to critical transatlantic trade routes places it at the center of several global debates. The growing influence of China and Russia in the Arctic region, where Russia has long maintained military assets and China has invested heavily with a clear strategic eye, is a direct challenge to the United States and our allies. This deserves serious consideration and response. Greenland sits directly on the shortest flight path for intercontinental ballistic missiles traveling from Russia or the Middle East to the United States, making its positioning critical to our security. We have maintained a military presence in Greenland since World War II, particularly at Patuxent Space Base, which serves as the northernmost U.S. military installation and provides critical missile warning and space surveillance. The base, along with its deepwater port and airfield, is an integral part of our national security infrastructure. Also key to our operational presence and influence in the Arctic is a healthy number of polar icebreakers. The U.S. built its last heavy icebreaker nearly 5 decades ago. Meanwhile, China has 4, and Russia has over 40, whose warships increasingly appear near Alaska. The only operational United States heavy icebreaker, the Polar Star, is 20 years beyond its service life. This is simply unacceptable. President Trump has highlighted the urgent need for a new fleet, and as chairman, I'm committed to ending Russian and Chinese icebreaker dominance, executing on this quickly, not waiting for years and years on piecemeal annual appropriations, is vital for our national security, the economic productivity of Alaska and the Arctic, and our national shipbuilding capacity at American shipyards like Keppel Anfels and Bollinger. But it's not just about defense. Greenland sits atop vast reserves of rare earth elements, materials critical for everything from technology to national defense. These elements are vital in the production of smartphones, military equipment, medical technologies, and much, much more. If the U.S. were to gain access to Greenland's resources, it could significantly reduce our dependence on foreign suppliers, particularly China, which currently operates a virtual monopoly on the rare earth market. Now, some may argue that the U.S. purchasing territory is out of the question. But it isn't unusual for us to do so. Indeed, much of the history of our nation was formed by acquiring territory. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson negotiated the Louisiana Purchase with Napoleon, spending $15 million to purchase 828,000 square miles of land that ultimately became part of 14 states, many of which are represented on this committee today. From the Louisiana Purchase, we got portions of Arkansas, Iowa, Missouri, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Minnesota, Louisiana, New Mexico, the great state of Texas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, and Colorado. Without the Louisiana Purchase, the United States would be a very, very different place than it is today. And then in 1867, the United States purchased Alaska from Russia, spending $7.2 million for what became our 49th state, and what ultimately gave this committee Senator Dan Sullivan. And indeed, purchasing territory from Denmark is not unusual. The United States purchased the Virgin Islands from the Danish Crown in 1917 to secure a strategic military position in the Caribbean, especially to protect the newly opened Panama Canal and safe-time maritime routes from Germany at war with Western powers. The acquisition of Greenland is not about military force. It's about diplomacy and shared interests, the same way we acquired the territories that make us the nation we are. And let us not forget, friends and allies can have tough conversations. The U.S. and Denmark have a strong relationship, and discussions about Greenland's future do not have to be adversarial. If Greenland's future were to include joining the United States, that would almost surely require the approval of the Greenlandic people, likely through a public referendum. This would be a mutual decision, and it is one worth discussing. For Greenlanders, there would be many benefits of becoming an American territory, including American citizenship, including billions of dollars of new American investment in Greenland that would raise the standard of living of the 50,000 Greenlanders there today. I look forward to hearing the testimony from our witnesses about the national security and economic implications of acquiring Greenland and about the opportunities and challenges we face. And with that, I recognize the ranking member for her opening statement.
Thank you, Mr.